Hey tribe, welcome back to Caveman Economics. Today we're talking about a word that gets thrown around a lot in politics, gets cheered at rallies, gets argued about on cable news, and that almost nobody can actually explain in one sentence. Tariffs. Specifically, Trump's tariffs. Genius economic strategy, or just a caveman tax with a fancier name? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how tariffs work, who actually writes the check, and why the answer to who pays for this is way less simple than it sounds in a 30-second soundbite. No politics, no rooting for a team here, just the mechanics. Let's smash it down. What is a tariff, actually? Here's the simplest way to picture it. Imagine the border between the US and another country is a bridge. A tariff is a toll booth sitting right in the middle of that bridge. Every time a truck full of goods crosses from, say, China into the United States, it has to stop at that booth and pay a fee before it's allowed through. That fee is a percentage of the value of the goods. So, if a tariff is set at 25% and a company is importing a truckload of goods worth $100,000, that company pays an extra $25,000 just to get those goods across the bridge and into the country. Now here's the part that trips a lot of people up, and it's the whole point of this video. Who actually owns that truck stopping at the booth? It's not the Chinese government. It's not some guy in Beijing reaching into his own pocket. The toll booth charges whoever is driving the truck across the bridge, and that's the American company that's importing the goods. Wait, so China doesn't pay it? This is the single most misunderstood part of the entire tariff conversation, so let's slow down here. When you hear a tariff described as a tax on China, what's technically happening is this. The tariff is collected by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and it's paid by the U.S.-based company that is importing the product. Not the foreign government, not the foreign factory in most cases. The American business on this side of the bridge. Let's use a simple example. Imagine Caveman Kicks, a fictional American shoe company, imports sneakers manufactured in China. Before any tariff, each pair costs Caveman Kicks $20 to import. A 25% tariff gets slapped on. Now, before that shoe even reaches the warehouse, Caveman Kicks has to pay an extra $5 per pair directly to the U.S. government, bringing their cost from $20 to $25. The Chinese factory making the shoes? They still got their $20. They're not the one writing a check to the U.S. Treasury. Caveman Kicks is. So when politicians say a country is paying billions of dollars because of tariffs, what's literally true is that billions of dollars are flowing into the U.S. Treasury. That part's accurate. What's misleading is the idea that the foreign country itself is the one handing over that money. It's American importers. Okay, so the company eats the cost. Problem solved, right? Here's where it gets real for your wallet. Caveman Kicks now has a choice to make, because that extra $5 per pair didn't just vanish into a void of corporate generosity. Option 1. They eat the cost themselves, take a smaller profit, and hope shareholders don't notice. Option 2, they pass some or all of that extra cost on to you, the customer, by raising the price of the shoes. In the real world, companies usually do some mix of both, but a huge chunk of tariff costs tend to get passed along to consumers, especially when a tariff applies broadly across an entire industry, because then every competitor is facing the same higher costs and nobody's particularly motivated to eat it alone to undercut everyone else. So that $25 pair of shoes Caveman Kicks now imports might show up on store shelves at $30 or $35 instead of the $25 it used to sell for. You, standing in the store trying to buy sneakers, are the one who ultimately feels that tariff in your wallet. This is the chain, start to finish. The tariff is charged to the American importer at the border, the importer's costs go up, and a good chunk of that increase quietly rides along into the final price tag you see on the shelf. So who actually wins? Let's lay out where the money actually moves, because this is the part that gets lost in the political shouting match. The government collects the tariff revenue directly. That part is real, and it can add up to a genuinely large amount of money flowing into federal coffers, which is one reason tariffs get pitched as a way to fund other priorities or pressure foreign trade practices. American companies that import goods absorb the upfront cost, and they make a business decision about how much of it to pass along. And consumers, regular people buying shoes, electronics, appliances, whatever the tariffed good happens to be, typically end up footing some or most of that bill through higher prices, even though no one ever sends them a bill labeled tariff tax. Here's a fun detail that tells you everything about how good this moneymaker really is. When the Biden caveman took office, a lot of people expected those tariffs to get ripped right back out. They didn't. Most of them stuck around. Because here's the thing about government and money. It doesn't matter which tribe is running the cave, nobody in charge loves giving up a revenue stream once it's flowing in. Once that toll booth is built and the cash is rolling into the treasury, taking it down becomes a lot less appealing than keeping it standing. There's one more piece worth mentioning quickly. Tariffs are also meant to make imported goods more expensive relative to goods made domestically, which can encourage people to buy American-made products instead, and can give a boost to domestic manufacturers who don't have to pay the tariff at all. Whether that boost is big enough to outweigh the higher prices everyone else pays is genuinely debated among economists, and reasonable people land in different places on it. So, genius plan or caveman tax? Here's the honest, balanced answer. It's both, depending on what you're optimizing for. If the goal is raising government revenue and pressuring trading partners or protecting a specific domestic industry, a tariff can absolutely accomplish that. It's a real, functioning tool, not some kind of accounting trick. But if you're picturing a tariff as some kind of magic bridge toll that foreign governments dutifully pay out of their own treasury while Americans go about their day untouched, that's not how the mechanics actually work. The bill, in large part, gets passed down the chain until it lands in a shopping cart. So whether tariffs are genius or a caveman tax really comes down to whether you think the trade-off, higher prices for consumers and importers in exchange for revenue and protection for certain domestic industries, is worth it. That's a values question as much as an economics question, and economists themselves disagree on exactly how it nets out depending on the specific goods, countries, and tariff levels involved. What's not really in dispute is the mechanical part we covered today. The tariff check gets written by the American importer at the border, not by the foreign government, and a meaningful chunk of that cost tends to travel all the way down to you. So next time you hear a headline about tariffs and making another country pay, you'll know exactly what's actually happening behind that toll booth. If this helped clear up the confusion, smash that like button, subscribe for more videos that break down complicated money and policy topics without the political shouting, and drop a comment letting me know what topic you want decoded next. Caveman Economics, signing off.